Hey, what is going on, everybody? Boilon here, back for another video on Marvel Strike Force. I hope that you're all having a great week. Today, I want to talk about something that people have been asking me for some time, and it's relating to Gear Tier 19. I normally get this question from some people who are getting a lot closer when it comes to being able to upgrade some of their characters, and they ask me, Boilon, should I upgrade my characters now, or should I continue to hoard my gear? And I think that this is a really, I wouldn't say it's a super difficult question, but I think it really depends on which characters you're considering and why. Now, I think that the people who are considering jumping the gun a little bit or upgrading now, I think are the people who are wanting to get a lot of PvP value out of their upgrades, which means that, you're going to upgrade them now. You're going to see some returns, probably in Cosmic Crucible more than anything. I don't like talking about Alliance War because I don't think it's really worth doing that for that. But I want to talk about in this video whether or not you should be doing this and which characters you might want to consider upgrading if you are at all. So if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. Okay, so this here is a photo of Crucible from one of my Alliance members. And so this kind of is what I've been thinking about this kind of topic for a little while, and you might see her on the far right side, and I'm going to direct you over here, that there is a Gear Tier 19 Ghost Rider Robbie. Now, he's probably one of the more common characters, I would say, that people are going to be starting to upgrade. And, again, like I said in the intro, I think a lot of the reasons why people might be considering upgrading them is a few reasons, right? Like, A, you want to get a lot of value now for things like PvP. And I think, at least in Crucible terms, I think where you might see the more like better value are defensive based characters. That's just my opinion, because obviously if you get a better score, I suppose, or sorry, they score worse, then maybe that gives you a better opportunity to win. The other thing is that people believe that said characters are safe to build, that they're not going to get replaced, and I think that's valid. And I think for someone who's probably invested 3 diamonds into a character, I think whether or not it's ultimately the best character that you can take in 4 to 6 months time probably doesn't matter, right? If you're 3 diamond, you might as well continue the investment. I think that's kind of the idea, is that if I've already put 3 diamonds into a character, I might as well build them to the moon. And so I think that's why you're going to see a lot of characters such as Ghost Rider, Kang, which we'll talk about as well, Vol, possibly other characters who are maybe like what I would say 3 diamond candidates that people might decide to build early. I'm actually in the process of building up diamonds for my Extreme X-Men, including Nightcrawler, who's going to be farmable pretty soon this week. So looking forward to being able to do that. And I want to kind of direct you to this photo here, which is basically, it's just a Gear Tier 19 upgrade for Vol. But what you're seeing is like, they're insane stats. It's essentially, I would say, probably as good as what Gear Tier 18 was when it got released, because you're seeing, 3.7 million health to 4.6 million. That's 900k. That's a lot. That's like over 20% in your health, from 216k to about 268k. Again, over 20% in damage. Most of these stats, I would say, are over 20%, with the exception of focus. That seems to be pretty low, actually. Resistance is also less than 10%. So you're getting a huge increase in health, damage, and armor, which is largely the main stats anyways, and then a minor increase in resistance and not a very big increase in focus. But these are the more important stats, especially health and damage, right? So what that tells you is that, yeah, those characters are going to get jacked up. And if you see any of these characters in defense, or being able to use them, I guess in offense too, in Crucible, if you can clear faster, you get more points, right? So that's still a thing, I suppose. So the question is, like, should you be doing this now or should you be waiting? And I think the reason why I haven't jumped the gun and upgraded too many characters is because, well, actually I haven't upgraded any, but why I'm probably not going to quite yet is because I think you need to think about the time scale in which it's going to take you individually to get to Dark Dimension 7. Now, I've been pushing red gear pretty hard. Some of you might have noticed in my videos or just in general that I've kind of not put as much gold into characters lately as I have been into red gear. Like every supply store reset, I'm spending like 1.5 million gold, maybe more, depending on how many regular uniques there are. So I'm buying regular unique. I'm almost buying everything, with the exception of the crappy catalysts. I'm buying catalyst bits. I'm buying health and focus catalysts. I'm buying origin pieces that I think I need. Although the origin one from a previous video, if you remember, the one that uses way more, like the isomers and the X genes, I think it is. Things like that, where you're going to be consuming a lot more of them. and then minis, and then the good uniques that I'm going to be spending more of. So osmium, miasma, things that have 2 or 3 different characters on it, right? When it comes to the one character, I don't buy them because I think that you're going to get enough drops through the red gear orb itself that by the time that you're ready or need to upgrade them, that you will have the uniques for that. Like the spread will be there for that. And I have almost like anywhere from 5 to 8 of like ones that I'm not even buying, because that's the spread that I was talking about, that through the red gear drops, you will get enough. So the question is, who, if any characters, do I believe that is safe to upgrade? And for that, I kind of want to refer you to the Dark Dimension. I'm glad we have this now, the Dark Dimension 7 planner. And I think realistically, it's going to be the characters that you cannot beat this without. That these are probably the safest to upgrade now. And that's going to be probably your mythic category, honestly. It's going to be because I don't see any new characters being added to that anytime soon. So that's going to be your Apocalypse. And I'm still waiting for my Zombie Juggernaut leaderboard event payout. But once I do, that's going to bring me really close, or a lot closer, to being able to upgrade him. And he's going to be one of my first characters that I decide to do that. Super Skrull, of course, just no ifs, ands, or buts there probably. And Kestrel, who is going to be a mainstay in the mythic section. You only need 4 mythic characters though, and let's just recap of who that is. Well, I I would probably wait to do characters like either Doom or Dorm, depending on who you decide to choose, unless there's some secret Ultimates rework on the horizon. But I would probably wait until you actually need to use them in the mythic section. The only thing is that you're going to get a lot of value, obviously, out of characters like out of Super Skrull, Apocalypse, and Kestrel right this second. Whether it's for raids or Cosmic Crucible for Kestrel in the current raid season, or in Super Skrull and Apocalypse, pretty much everywhere, right? So that stat boost that they're going to get is going to be absolute insane for you. Now let's talk about some of the other sections where you're seeing some more commonly built characters that I think that people are willing to G19 at this point. And, there's the Vol photo. There's, oh shit, I just closed down. Oops. The Ghost Rider Robbie photo, and then we have Kang as well. So I want to take a look at Black Knight. I think he's the only other character, in my opinion, that is gonna be a lock. And what I mean is, like, there's no reason that he's just so meta. And maybe, once obviously more people get Mephisto, that, Black Knight's going to get neutered in the arena. But he's just such a powerful plug and play defensive character everywhere that the more hit points that he has, which is what's scaling the G19 stats, that his retaliate is going to hit even harder. So there is no question that Black Knight with my skill gear, I may actually in fact do him because I know that Kestrel does use skill gear, so I may do that. I'm probably going to upgrade him before Kestrel. But Kestrel I was thinking of tech gear and things like that, so I may end up doing Black Knight first. But Kestrel's still going to be on that list that I'm going to be upgrading, at some point in time when I'm available to do that. Sorry. And so that leaves the other characters, right? And just I want to target the characters that are specifically going to be characters that I believe who people are going to have at 3 diamonds. People who are previously recommended to build to the moon, right? Like, and so no matter what your opinions of these characters are, nonetheless, people have upgraded them very high and probably will continue to do so regardless of what the state of Dark Dimension looks like in 6 months. So Ghost Rider Robbie. There's a lot of city choices on here, especially with Spider Society now. And so whether or not Ghost Rider is Robbie is a lock could be debatable in 6 months' time. Like if you were to enter right now, yeah, I would take him in, and he's still a super strong character. But whether or not he's your best choice in 6 months, hard to say, right? But I don't think anything like that matters because if you're sitting on a 3 diamond Robbie, people are going to want to make use of the additional stats that he's going to get out of that, right? So I think that's why it's kind of I don't want to call it a sunk cost fallacy because it's not like he's a bad character. But I think that's the argument that a lot of people are using in terms of upgrading the character. It's like, well, I already have 3 diamond. Let's go one step further, right? And so how many times are we going to be taking Ghost Rider Robbie to gear tier 20, 21? It's hard to say, right? When is he going to eventually fall off? So that's one character for sure. I think that I'm not doing it right this second. And as you can see, I could actually upgrade him with 4 more miasma. But I don't know if I will immediately. I don't know if I have him at 3 diamond actually. The other character I want to talk about is Kang. So Kang specifically because a lot of people are using either in Cabal or outside of Cabal, whatever. A lot of people did take him to 3 diamond because of his value in Crucible because he basically one-shots a lot of different characters. Now I had a tab for Kang and the reason why is because I want to show you what the difference between a G 18 Kang is at maxed out, and a G19 Kang. So right now you can see down below with 3 diamonds, by the way. You can see down below basically his stats is here. So like 2.77 million hit points, 175,000 damage. I think that's kind of the important stuff. The rest is less important. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up. I'm going to hit the, oh no, I lost it. I can't zoom in too far. Hit the G19 upgrade button. Going to recalculate the power. Sorry. And here you have it. So 3.4 million health and 200 and almost 220k damage. So this is pretty sizable, right? Like this is, I would say it's pretty in line with what we were kind of already looking at when it comes to Vol, that 20-ish% both in health, damage, and armor. So the question is, do you need this for Kang? Again, a lot of the reason why I think people are going to be doing all of this is because of Cosmic Crucible, right? People who are trying to compete there as best they can, where, you know, having higher tier stats on characters are going to make a significant difference. And so I think that's where you're going to see people upgrade things a little bit early. I actually do not, despite all the characters that I could fill in here on the table, you know, I don't actually think a lot of them for me, because things could change at the drop of a hat, right? You could get the next Black Knight in 3 months' time that happens to be, I don't know, Mystic, right? You know, and maybe you wish you had that gear. Maybe he's miasma. Who knows? But because this gear is super valuable, I have in previous videos gone over basically how much gold red gear costs, right? You see that yourself in the supply store. So it's essentially like, are you okay with dropping 100 million gold on one of these characters? Some of them, yeah. You know, like I definitely do it for Black Knight. Am I willing to do it for Robbie, and does it really make that much of a difference in what I'm already able to do? I don't know, right? And so I'm not like, well, what if another Mystic character comes down that happens to be the same gear as him, that's like way better, right? And we typically get fireable characters within 3 to 4 months. So, you know, if I'm not even entering Dark Dimension 7 in about 6 months' time, well, you know, I might have a character that's on par with Black Knight that becomes farmable to some degree that I should have saved my gear for. And that's where I'm a little bit squeamish about these upgrades. I think that if you're trying to, you know, place in the top 1,000, top 2,000, top 1% or whatever of Cosmic Crucible, then these are things that you're probably going to wait. You're going to do now, and you're not going to wait. So that's what I meant to say. You know, because you're impatient and you want to get the best value out of it ASAP. You know, and I'm not going to sit here doing a video about why you should upgrade this character and that character to gear tier 19. And here's your Dark Dimensions 7 picks. Like, you could just take a look at some of Beta Ray Bill's picks right now and see some of the ones that if you were to enter today, those are the ones that he would upgrade. And you can see that in the Dark Dimension lists and whatnot for the nodes that's cleared. And I'm actually not heavily confident in that many of the older characters that I would upgrade right now. And the reason for this, oh, how the hell did that happen? The reason for that is because there's a lot of new characters coming in every origin section. We have Spider Society right now just coming out. We have Mercs for Money on the horizon. We have Alpha Flight. I think that's coming probably not. My guess is June. Like, it's got to be, right? Like the Pride Month for North Star's got to be. So there's like a lot of characters like on the horizon within the next 3 months even, that I'm not super confident that I would. You know, I'd probably upgrade Gambit, but whether or not I do it right away, like, I think, where the fuck did my glow go? I hate when I zoom out. I would probably still do Nightcrawler first before Gambit. I just think that Nightcrawler has the best value both in other game modes outside of Crucible as well over Gambit, but I do love Gambit because he's cheap, right? But I would probably do like characters like Nightcrawler. Like, I think for me, Nightcrawler is a bit of a lock. I think that's where my Osmium is going to go first and not Duval, like, because Nightcrawler is going to be farmable this week. So that's my intent. But again, there's very few characters that I'm willing to lock in for the purposes of getting early use out of it. I'm going to favor characters that are newer rather than older. Characters that maybe are just recently becoming farmable. So some characters that have been proven in the meta. Like, I know people hate using Nightcrawler in Arena, but I actually use him. So like getting that gear tier 19, that survivability and the damage and the stats, I think is going to make a significant difference both in Crucible and elsewhere. So, you know, Kang is probably the oldest character outside of Kestrel, anyways, who people deem to be a lock. I'm just not super confident, you know, in being able to put 100+ million gold worth of red gear into a single character over something that might change, you know, in a month, right? Reworks happen, releases happen, new characters happen all the time. Some of them super OP, some of them not super OP, but regardless, we just don't know. And even for the legendary stuff, like, we just don't know. I don't and because the time is gonna take for so many people to get to Dark Dimension 7, it's gonna take at least for the ardent pushers, probably like 6 months, I would say. Like for non whales, I'm talking about like the top 5,000 players, some of those people are probably still gonna take like 6 months, if not closer to 9 for like average top 3 percenters, right? Like, I think that's what you're kind of expecting. That's the expectation of like how long it's gonna take. And so I just don't feel that confident other than those characters that I mentioned. Like, this is the top of my power roster. And even of these characters, like my Ghost Rider is not three diamonds actually. Apocalypse, I'm not even sure about Kang because I don't think he needs it. Personally, I think that he just wrecks everything in Crucible anyways. Is Gear 19 going to make a real significant difference to my Crucible? I don't think so. Super Scroll probably, um, in Black Knight, right? And then maybe Nightcrawler because he's new. But other than that, like, I'm just not. I don't know. This is where I need some info from you guys as well. Like, what do you think about this? Like, are you waiting? Are you not waiting? What kind of characters are you considering upgrading now, and why as well? So I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this a little bit, but I just kind of want to warn people that, like, you're. I'm not saying you're throwing it away, but the gear is super expensive. Like, in terms of gold value, it's super expensive. So are you willing to basically put down 100 plus million gold on one of these characters that, I don't know, might fall out of the meta, might not be as meta as you think, or whatever, right? And they might eventually drop off. That's my concern right now because of how new this stuff is and why I haven't really decided. Like I said, outside of APOC and Scrawl and Black Knight, I haven't really decided whether or not I'm going to invest in anyone until I'm closer, right? Until I have enough gear that I'm like 50%, 60% kind of like totality, and I could upgrade all this now and go in and do like half of Dark Dimension 7, then I might feel more comfortable about it. But I know I'm going to be losing out some stats on the PvP side of things, but I'm okay with that. So I guess it depends on whether or not you're okay with that or if you're really hardcore pushing. If you are, maybe that might help you earn a couple of points. But for me, I just don't want to take that risk of maybe potentially wasting something. Anyways, just some thoughts here on this Wednesday morning. So until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.